Okay, we will go ahead and call the June 9th regular board meeting to order. Again, all board members present, except for Larry Cappinga. Can I start off, please, with an approval, a motion and a second to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Motion by Don Sneeden.
Support.
Support by Chad Tuttle. Any questions or comments on the agenda? Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, we have a couple of board recognition items tonight. Lots of students here to recognize this evening. Very excited about that. So, Dr. Vanderjack, you're taking this?
We're going to start with recognizing our Science Olympiad program. And I'm going to turn over to Mrs. Taylor to say a few words before we turn it over. I see him in the back. The lights are bright up here, but I know you're in lead since I talked to you a minute ago. So I'll turn it over to Mrs. Taylor.
Good evening. I have the pleasure this evening of introducing Josh Ernst. He is the Science Olympiad coach. He is also currently a teacher here at the high school, teaching biology and earth science. His wife Angela is also a STEAM teacher. So we have lots of knowledge in the room around STEM and STEAM and Science Olympiad. There's lots of students. They were just explaining to me some of the medals that they have earned, and I would just invite Mr. Ernst to come forward and share a little bit about the team's success and the growth over the past 5 years.
Hello, thank you very much for having us. This is a really special thing for me and for the students that are part of the Science Olympiad team. A lot of people don't know a lot about Science Olympiad, so I'll give you kind of the rundown real quick. Students compete in 23 different science and engineering events. So they start usually in October, and this runs all the way through April. So they put in months and months of work on learning different science topics, and some of the events are what are called knowledge events, where they square off against other schools taking kind of tests based on anything from anatomy and physiology to cell bio to ecology, chemistry events. It really covers all fields of chemistry. And then some of the events are engineering events where they have to actually build like a catapult to hit different targets, and they don't know where the targets are in the field until they show up. So they really have to spend a lot of time designing, planning, and calibrating. And there's ping pong parachute where they have to develop a rocket with a parachute. Bridges, you have to design and build a bridge that spans a specific distance on a gap and then be able to get it to hold the most weight compared to the other schools. So it's very much a lot of the application of the sciences that they learn here at Hudsonville. And it's such a remarkable thing to see these young people that have such a passion for science and being able to go and represent our school at competitions and really show what a strong science department we truly do have here. And I want to thank all the teachers at the high school, but our science department is remarkable. And you really see it when you watch how strong we've become over the last 5 years, and we've really grown and been able to show on kind of the state level. So a little history was when I took over 5 years ago, we had 6 kids in the program, was all, and it was really, the program was kind of on the edge of dying. With the help of some of the kids that are here that actively went out and recruited and found kids, we had almost 30 kids last year. So it's really giving a place for kids who maybe don't fit in other places to have a way to connect to Hudsonville High School and belong to a team and really show their passion for science. And a big part of that is also Mr. Saul and Ms. Crosby at Riley, who have a very strong Science Olympiad program for the middle school also, and you should check that out too, because they're doing a fantastic job. So we've been able to work together. So this year, why we're being recognized is we competed in several competitions. We've gotten better and better that we were actually able to go to several competitions. One of them was the University of Michigan. So this allows kids to go to colleges, see the campuses, a lot of the students and stuff there. At the U of M, we finished, I believe it was That one I didn't write down. I think it was like top 12, top 15, but there were teams from Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, so it's a very big one that draws from several of the surrounding states, and we still, out of 60 some teams, finished, I think, in the top like 15, which shows you how strong we are. We went to the regionals, and for the first time we actually finished second at Grand Valley in the regionals, and first place went to Grand Haven, who ended up being the state champions this year. So we did really well, and then for only the second time ever, we qualified for the state competition and finished 8th. And I know for some, they might go, well, 8th, that's pretty good, but there are no divisions in Science Olympia. That's 8th out of every single high school in the state. So, and that's really So I thank you guys, and I thank our administration for their support, your guys, the community, as we continue to grow, because I think it truly does give these young people an opportunity to show their passion for science and have an arena to really show what they're excited about. And that's science, that's engineering, that's, and I think that's a really cool thing. One last highlight, and I'm going to embarrass him just because I can, if he's here. We had one student this year that applied for what's called the Founders Scholarship, and that was Joey Foe. He actually won one of only 5 national scholarships that Science Olympiad gives, and that's a $10,000 scholarship that he won. So I just am very proud of them. Want to thank you guys, thank the community for recognizing them. I know it doesn't always necessarily, a lot of people don't know what it is, and it's a remarkable program, and I'm very happy to be able to coach it with my co-head coach, Mr. Elliott. So, all right, so thank you very much.
Can I put you on the spot?
Okay.
Actually, the kids. Mr. Blair, do you have an extra microphone? Is it possible for the students to stand up, and if you could just say your name and your grade, and what was your favorite event that you participated in? That would be great. Several of you participated in multiple events, and you all get to go, so I don't care who starts, but you gotta stand up so we can see you. Your name, grade, and what was the favorite event that you were involved in?
Okay, I'm Addison Jeltema. I'm a senior this year, and my favorite event was Dynamic Planet, which is pretty much just earth science.
My name is Madison Greenland. I'm a junior, and my favorite event is Right Stuff, which is where you build a plane, and it has to spend a lot of time in the air.
My name is Madeline Murkison. I was a freshman this year, and one of my favorite events was forensics, where they give you like a bunch of, I don't know, crime stuff, and then you have to figure out who did it and why.
I'm Madison Linedecker. I was a junior this year, and my favorite event was also Dynamic Planet.
I'm Carson England. I'm a junior, and my favorite event this year was remote sensing.
I'm Owen Whiproad. I was also a junior this year, and my favorite event was detector building, which is where you build a circuit and a metal stick and stick it in water, get some numbers. It's pretty cool.
I'm Jaden Bacher. My favorite event was Code Busters, and it's self-explanatory. You just like bust the codes.
My name is Jack Bradley. I'm a junior, and my favorite event was Rocks and Minerals.
Hi, I'm Joey Folk. My favorite event was Trajectory, where I had to build a catapult that hit very specific distances, and yeah. I'm Luke Martin. I'm a junior, and my favorite event was Experimental Design, where they just give you a bunch of materials and a topic, and you got to make a lab out of it.
My name is Grayson Lutner. I'm a sophomore, and my favorite event was It's About Time. I don't think I need to explain that one. It's about time.
Well,
Thank you. Congratulations, team. What a great year. I can remember years and years and years ago when Science Olympiad started, and it's just great to see where it's come along. And as Coach said, to have opportunities for students, whether it's in science or the arts or winter drumline or the sports or whatever, providing those opportunities for students to engage is an important part of your education here at Hudsonville. So congratulations on a great year. I hear a lot of juniors and sophomores and some freshmen, so we look forward to great things next year as well. Have a great evening, and again, congratulations. Okay, then we have a couple other student recognition items this evening. So again, Dr. Vanderjack, you'll be taking those as well, right?
How about we start with the first state championship that we received this spring, our men's volleyball team. I'm going to ask Coach Wedge to come up here. Maybe the team can line up on the side because we're going to call you up and recognize you in a minute for winning a state title. I will tell you the privilege of watching the state champion would be the semis and the finals. Extremely stressful, I will tell you, probably more so from a spectator because we had no control over what was going on. You at least had to, you got to coach, you were closer. The boys were impressive to watch. I appreciate the fact that I think 3 years ago, I want to say Caven, I don't see he's not here, but came in and said, I think we should have a men's volleyball team. And this is the second year of existence, and this is the second state title. So I don't know what that means for next year, but I'm just impressed with these young men and how they carry themselves. And truly, as watching the sport, the sportsmanship between the teams, when it's all said and done, was probably even more impressive. But it does feel good to win. So congratulations, Coach. I'll turn it over to you, maybe say a few words about the team.
Sure.
Then we'd like to recognize the young men.
Yep. I'm Aaron Wedge, the coach of the boys volleyball team, and like Dr. Vanderjack said, during the COVID year we were going to have our first team, and then that got shut down. So last year was the first year that we had a boys volleyball club team at Hudsonville, and we ended up winning the state tournament last year. There were 19 teams in the state last year. This year, doubled. There were 37 teams this year, and again, we had a great team. A great coaching staff, and won the state championship again this year. So next year's got high expectations, I guess. But I do want to acknowledge real quick a couple of the other coaches that are here. My assistant coach, Jason Palmentier, and then the two JV coaches. We did have a JV team this year as well. So and a middle school team. We had a middle school club team too, so we're starting to build the program. There was also Steve Yarnell and John Vandervelde did JV. So can we give them a round of applause? So I'd like to recognize the guys that played varsity. I'm going to read the names off, but a lot of them aren't here. They gave me all reasons why. So Jarrett Weiler, Keegan Rookus, Owen Atkins, Caven Belmont, Rob Boheis, Diego Hill, Carson Bell.
Carson, come here.
Come up here.
Congratulations. Well, there's somebody I can.
Jackson Palmentier. So real quick, I want to break this up. So before I announce the next three, Carson and Jackson are both seniors this year and led our team in pretty much every category. We had, so I wish the other two were here, but they're not. So we had 4 first-team all-conference players this year, Carson and Jackson, Caven Belmont, and Owen Atkins, and we had 1 honorable mention all-conference, that was Diego Hill. Last night we did the All-State awards. We had our meeting and talked about that. Owen Atkins received honorable mention All-State. Caven Belmont received second-team All-State. and Carson and Jackson both received first team All-State honors. The next three are sort of the what's up and coming here at Hudsonville Volleyball. These guys were on JV, but impressed the coaching staff, so we pulled them up on varsity for part of the season, and then through all of the playoffs. Ryder Roberts.
Congratulations, great job.
Landon Dykema.
Congratulations, great job.
And Logan Hipshire. And I'll acknowledge him really quick. The last one you see standing over there he was on JV, but he was our only JV representative tonight, and that's Alan Davidson. So we are still working hard, right? We're still trying to get this program. I think we've got a good start. I'm really excited where boys volleyball is going in general. I think what I've heard, there's going to be at least 20 more teams added for next year. So it's going to be really close to being an MHSAA sport here really soon. So come on out and support us. We'll keep putting out our schedules and stuff. We're a spring sport. So
We're building you a new gym.
We're building a new gym. So is it air conditioned? Because that would be nice. So thanks everybody. Thank you. You guys, will the rest of the coaches come down here, please? Jason, real quick.
Two rows. Yes, that's what I got. Perfect, buddy. I know, summer love.
Next, we have our latest state championship, which took place this past weekend. We'd like to recognize our women's water polo team. To do that, I've asked our aquatics director, Ian Kobus, to say a few words to introduce the coach and the team. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Kobus.
Two tremendous acts to follow. Congratulations to Science Olympiad and the volleyball team. Tremendous. I had the honor of being the presenter for the girls water polo state championship, and under the tutelage of Ian Hewitt, Hudsonville High School class of 2013, and Emily Tuttle, Hudsonville High School class of 2017, and John Neeb graduated from somewhere in Wisconsin, so I'm sorry to do my hair that way. But these young ladies have prepared themselves for just an amazing run this year. They came together as a team and really fought really hard over the course of the past 3 months, but the work doesn't start there. In fact, I think Monday of next week they start preparation for next year. So a lot of these girls will head out to California to go and plan and participate for Junior Olympic water polo. So it's a never-ending commitment to aquatics. We work so closely together in the swimming and water polo communities, but this 5-peat was just absolutely tremendous. And so I'd like to introduce Coach Ian Hewitt to come up and address the board. Congratulations, ladies.
first of all, I just want to start off by saying thank you for taking the time to recognize this great group of girls out there in the pink, if you can't see them. And also, I wanted to give a really big shout out and thank you to just our whole community as a whole. Last week, before we left for the state tournament, we had a huge send-off with police cars and fire trucks, and administrators were there, and just a lot of community members, and it was really awesome to see. Sometimes I personally get so focused on the coaching that I'm not thinking about those things, but to experience that and to see the girls experience that, I couldn't think of a better way to send them off for such an important weekend that they have. So awesome. I feel so fortunate to be a part of a community that has so much support for not only their school and the academics, but also for their athletics as well. So yeah, a little bit about the girls. When I was actually asked earlier this week, with this being the 5th state championship in a row, somebody asked, does it ever get easier? And I said yes and no. Yes, I think because they have the experience, and that was evident this weekend. We played some really tough teams and had some really close games, but it was, I think I credit a lot of our experience that got us through, the fact that they had been there last year and the year before, to get us through some of those situations and just to hold that composure. The reason I would say no, it doesn't get any easier is I think after every state championship that is won, the pressure becomes even greater. And that's something that the girls expressed to me this year, that they felt some pressure. They felt the pressure to win. And so it was a great conversation that we had, and I think from that moment on, we kind of shifted our focus a little bit and started just focusing on what we could do as a team and kind of taking in everything that we had as a group of just people, and rather than focusing on the winning. And from that moment on, we started playing a lot better. But that was what made me the most proud of that group of girls, is that they had the maturity to recognize that they were feeling some pressure, and that they were willing to talk about it and express those concerns, and then just to offer some solutions and to say that they want to just focus on the team bonding aspect and team building, and maybe the winning and the state championships can be a byproduct of all that good that came from that. And I really think that led them to some success, but I also think that is going to give them a leg up in the future, because it's not, the state championships are great, but there's obviously more important things in life, and I think that they realize that, and the relationships that they've built these last few years, and just in the aquatics, but also throughout Hudsonville as a whole, has been really special, and I feel so honored to get to recognize that. So I'm going to call up all the girls now, and I don't know if you just want to stand there, but
Cab number. Here we go. Here. Cab number 6.
okay, good. I'm going to start calling them off. A few are not here as well. I think we had 20 total plus one team manager. Also, I did want to quick recognize our assistant coaches, John Eve and Emily Tuttle, who are not able to be here tonight, but are such a huge help to me and to all these girls. So, Elsie Roberts, Elise Laninga, Ellie Tuttle, Avery Morin, Elena Schulte, Michaelan Van Eerden, Taylor Wilson, Emily Feenstra, Sydney Klein, Elsa Groning, Jenna Kuiper, Allie Widner, Brooke Henry, Morgan Lally, Kaylee Mead, Julia Vandegucci, Addie Lanning, and then Sam Massad, Karen Zank, Emma Dale, and then Kenzie Burgat was our team leader.
Don't you want to tell how exciting that state championship game was?
Yeah, the game was very exciting. We won it. To be honest, it was at halftime. It was 1-1, which is not typical in a water polo game. Usually, it's a little bit higher scoring. And I told the girls, I mean, we played really well in that first half. We just weren't hitting our opportunities. Somebody's texted me during that game saying the Post deserved all the honors for that game. But the second half, we turned it around. And like I said, the experience that they had, I think, helped contribute to the amount of composure and just the fact that they had been there before. And we ended up on top 7-4 against Rockford. So, yeah.
Students and parents, make a beeline out to the nice evening. Excellent. We got that's fun and exciting and great to see so many engaged students. One of our objectives is that every student be involved in a team, a program, a band, a group, something outside of the normal school day, so that they belong to something like these great programs that we have, and that's why we keep adding programs and finding interest for students. And again, it's a key part of the education process. So, all right, we move on now to action items. First up is the consent agenda. Can I have a motion, please, on the consent agenda to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Barth Hooper, support by Steve Bowerman. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Clarifications? Okay, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. We next move on to regular action item agenda, high school expansion furniture purchase recommendation. Mr. Briggs?
So almost as exciting as the state championships. Close. Furniture. It's probably one of the tougher things in my career to even think about buying all the furniture for a new building, because in a lot of ways it is a blank slate. And I'd just like to thank Michelle from GMB. She's been amazing. She's worked on the high school freshman campus project, and just can't say enough about the work you've done, Michelle. From start to finish, she's been a pro, and I never know who I'm going to get when I do these projects as an interior design specialist, and Michelle has done amazing work. So the nice thing about this project is Michelle. I think she worked on me for about 6 months to change my mind and not go with bidding. If you can imagine, I just think that even when we did South, which I think, you know, it's not a huge project, the new South 3, but just the amount of detail, and in this environment of low bid, everybody, I mean, I thoroughly believe my product is the best. And I believe that, and that's every vendor. So we had to go through those reviews, those submittals, detail by detail with these manufacturers, and they're passionate that their product is the best on these categories, and we have to pick, as part of our regulations from the state and our purchasing law, we have to pick lowest responsible. And sometimes, and I will say, I think every project we've done in that bid world with furniture, we've ended up with a couple categories that just, I wish we did, and a couple years later, I wish we would have not picked that one, but it's really tough to tell, to discern and say, your product isn't as good as this product. So it's always, you know, 26-year career doing this. This has been a frustrating thing, and Michelle just convinced me to look at another way. And the other way is schools have the ability to purchase off pre-bid, we call them contracts, but it's a consortium that they go through all of the functional duties that we have in procurement of fair and honest bidding, open competition, open specifications, and really it's like what the state of Michigan would require of us. But well, the state of Michigan, for example, they have a contract, they call it My Deal, and bidders across the state, they let people know when they have to have their bids entered, and then it's actually a carve out in the law that we can just pick a contract from the My Deal list, and that has satisfied our procurement requirements. That's all we have to do. We can just say, we pick something off My Deal, we don't have to bid that anymore. And it's right in the school code. So the extension of that is into other contracts. And so we have to do, Michelle and I have to do some checking along with you know, some of the people that represent those consortiums. One of the larger ones we're gonna recommend to you that we take advantage of is one called Omnia. It's the biggest national consortium, and part of our work is to go in and focus and look at that contract and make sure it was done. That's our job, is we recommend you to take care of those compliance things and to make sure that contract is done in accordance with state of Michigan law. Because there are states, every state has its own requirements and needs. There are states that use like local preferencing. Like a city in the state of Michigan can locally preference city, township, county, state of Michigan. The state of Michigan actually gives us the ability to preference vendors from the state of Michigan, but we just can't use that as an only basis, for example. And pardon me, I can nerd out on this forever, this bidding law, but I'm just to say that what we're going to recommend this time is purchasing off these contracts with a little bit of our work in the background. The recommendation, when we get ready to do the recommendation at the next meeting, because this is just a review, we'll incorporate some things that allow us to do that. And those, if you recall the resolutions we did during COVID times, we had to do some special purchasing resolutions. We asked you for things that were clarifications of our policy, weren't exactly set out in policy, but that'll be coming in the next wave. So anyways, that's the change. And I really feel, if you look at this budget, the budget's actually the third attachment, that that total budget, budgeted price is pretty tight. And there's even a contingency of 8% in there. That's $819,286. I'm confident that if we were to bid that, this sounds counterintuitive, we would not get that good a price. There are some bidders, and some of the bidders that bid on the big MyDeal contract, that actually, they give the MyDeal contract better pricing than the straight up bid, what they would bid to us if we asked them for a bid. There's a lot of reasons for that. They have lower costs. You know, if they extended it across the entire state, their solicitation prices. So, just in a high level summary, the bond budget for furniture and equipment for what's in the actual bond budget for the high school is $1.8 million for the freshman campus, $767,000 for a total bond budget of $2.59 million. So this is by far the biggest share of that budget that needs to be spent. So we combine this. So this $819,000 comes out of that $2.59 million budget. And you know, back in 2018-19, when we were putting together this budget, we did have to work a little bit and make some estimates and assumptions on price escalation, because you buy this later in the project. And Michelle has really tracked that the inflation in the furniture world has been pretty decent. It's while other areas are, especially in the construction areas, have been seeing 50% plus annual inflation, cost escalation. This has really been 3 to 5% per year. So pretty stable in this area. And the other things that need to come out of that budget are just general equipment for the gym. Our athletic director, Ben Farkas, has worked up a real good budget for the weight room and the cardio equipment at $210,000, which is not a low budget. It'll take care of the needs of that area, and just miscellaneous equipment across the two campuses for $360,000. So if we add that, just that other budget in, we're going to be well within that $2.59 million. So I think budgetarily we're in really good shape. And as I said, I can't thank Michelle enough, because this thing, the third attachment, which is the detailed budget at the back here, that started out, I just told Michelle, I said, hey, I just need a program budget to make sure we're close. And then every time we met weekly. You see the timeline in the attachments. I keep saying, can you put the contract pricing in there? I just kept asking for more and more and more, and then she got down to this, which is a pretty impressive document. So that's just a little conversation on page 1 there. And then if you could flip, I'm not gonna hit on all the pages, but just a couple. And I think, I don't have it queued up here, but if you would flip to the attachment that starts in the furniture selections, and you could look at there's the first document there, just shows a typical classroom. And if our work was made easier, I forgot to mention, we've got a team that works on this, headed up by Principal Beal, has a group from the high school, Lee Arntz, Amy Taylor, they sit in all these meetings as well, and they advise on every piece. I can't thank them enough for their time they put into this project. So really strong team. And we also did a factory tour with that group once we had a good idea of what we were looking at, to actually go see things in the field and look at things installed. But the first page I'd like to take you to is the one that's typical classroom. It's really the first page after furniture selection. And a lot of that furniture is real similar to what we have in the freshman campus now, and we're having good success with. Looks a lot like that, and it just is working. And so we stayed with the same pattern. Staff felt that was that was a good decision. And some of the newer spaces in the new area, this is in the connector. If you walked in from the parking lot, west to east, I'm saying that wrong, north to south, right there. Walk by the office. There's a common space right there. You'll see first floor ELA. That space is. I know the high school staff is very exciting about what that will mean for kids. It's also not only is it a nice teaching space, but it's a nice space for students to gather before or after school lunch periods. It's just going to be a really nice feature for the students. And then another really exciting feature of the connector, and this is the second floor. It's called second floor ELA. If you look on that slide, I forgot the exact number until I just asked Michelle, but that'll seat. So that's 2 classrooms at the back there and a large open area in the foyer, and that'll seat 120 people around tables. So the high school will finally be able to have a meeting with the freshman campus staff. Well, it'll be one school when it's connected, but so they'll be able to have a meeting with all their staff together. And it's also an interesting space, teaching space, as well as you'll see how the seating lays out in there. Michelle's done a nice job of representing that. And you see the typical pieces. Every piece that's on one of these pages is also in a detailed budget page. So really nice. Just you can see the seating we have on the next page and the risers for the choir room. And then I'm not gonna touch on all these pages, just touch on a couple highlights. But you can see this layout here for the cafeteria. It gives us some expanded seating, but then in the cutout area at the top right there, that is that's some different seating, a little quieter, lower noise area for students who need that and looking for a quieter space while they're eating. But you see the furniture pieces there to go in there, and those are all new tables, new cafeteria tables. And you'll see that's one of the larger items in the individual price items in the detailed budget. Oh, and one of the last areas I'd like to point out. Flipping a lot of pages on you now here, sorry, but just if you can look over to the page, and it shows it's the picture and layout of the main office, and you see there, this is really bringing together a lot of people, a lot of positions, and it'll just be a great synergy of the administration offices, the counseling offices, and their cut sheets on what goes in those offices. I'm not going to go into those pages individually, but the staff has all been through them detail by detail on what goes in those offices. If you're looking in the detailed budgets, much of what's going in the office, and one of the reasons why this project is as under budget as it is that a local vendor interface, which represents Hayworth, they put together an incredibly aggressive pricing for office furniture. And so most of that furniture in those offices is from Interface and Hayworth. And then I'll flip over to the detailed budget pages, and just, you don't have to flip there with me, but yeah, it just shows each page is very well done by Michelle. It does correspond with the page over on the picture in the pictures and graphics, but it shows the tally of the freshman campus, the high school, and the contingency balance. So feel good about this project. It's different, and I think we did, as I said, we did waste a lot of time talking to a lot of vendors about cut sheets and product capabilities and in office furniture, it's tough, and it just makes it far more simple to do it this way. And I think it's a better value for the kids, it's a better value for the community. And we were one of the last schools in this area that was still doing the conventional bid process and bid letting for furniture. Forest Hills, Rockford, Kentwood, out West Ottawa, they all do this contract buying, and they've been doing it for years. So that's all I have to say about the information. Are there any questions?
Pat, just to clarify, were you expecting to take action on this tonight?
Absolutely not, no.
No? Okay,
No.
so this is information.
No,
Okay.
no, this is just for review,
Okay.
just for review.
Can you just make a note of that, Robin?
Yes.
This first regular action item is for
Yes.
review.
Yes, just for review, and time for questions. We still have time to take action next meeting, next regular meeting.
Couple questions.
Sure.
Number one, lead time, because I see you're looking to install this in November. That's about a 5-month lead time if you were to order it today. Is that enough time to get everything here?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, Michelle's been checking with the vendors. I mean, Michelle, is there anything particular you wanna?
No, most are local vendors that are still sitting 6 to 8 weeks. We're really not looking at many international vendors, and our longest kind of U.S. vendor right now is 12 to 14. So we're comfortably within that 5 month.
And second question, have any of the students sat in any of the chairs that have been selected, or is it typically what we used for the freshman campus?
Yes. Like most of the student furniture is at the freshman campus, and it's very similar student furniture to what is successful over there. Yeah, good question.
I'm a little slow to understand, so just briefly help me understand how we avoid the bidding process. I'm
Yeah.
happy with the report here, it looks fine to me, but I've always thought we had to bid these things, and
Absolutely.
happy we can avoid that, but how do we do that?
Absolutely. It probably is a distortion that caused by me. You know, I've always bid it, and it feels odd to not bid it, but starting with it's a carve out in state law. The state of Michigan says literally you can use these contracts. They've set one and named it the My Deal, which is the one they run. The state runs it themselves. But yeah, I checked it out with our attorney, we can do it. We do for future reasons. He recommends we amend our board policy, but he'll handle the heavy lifting of the procurement law in the resolution when it comes to.
And you're comfortable we have a better deal this way than we did if we do the traditional bidding process?
No question. And I think that's a big deal, but the bigger issue is we get vendors because we have to disqualify some of the lower price vendors, and not to mention them right now, but we have product in place right now from our bid projects where people have walked away from warranties just aren't sufficing, that we're not happy with, and we'll be replacing, that was only purchased in the last couple bond issues. So quality, they really work hard. It's really the direction of the industry to go to these contracts. So good question.
And who honors the warranty under that?
It's still a responsibility of the vendor, but it's just a bigger, I'd say, Mark, it's more of it's a larger pond for them. There's more on the line. That there's more accountability, and it's more vetting over time. Thanks. Good questions.
And just a quick question, Pat. For the current office spaces that I know we're going to utilize somewhat for office space, is in this bid to update that furniture as well, or is that going to be part of something separate?
Sure. So I would say the spaces that don't owe us anything, they've been there a while, our current office, that there's a dedicated page in the pictorial part of it, the graphics. That's in part of our design process. That's going to be repurposed for robotics. So there's going to be some moving of walls, remodeling in there, but Michelle does have a nice budget in there for that robotics, the tables, and it's also gonna be during the day. It's gonna be available for some teaching space too, some STEM, type activities for sciences, but yeah, it's in the budget. Thanks.
Pat, in this process, I think if I'm reading the budget correctly, but just want to ask, do we get to leverage our tax exempt status with the furniture?
Yes. Good question. Thanks. Which is great question because we don't as much in the normal brick and mortar process, which is weird. It's just a weird part of Michigan law. But yeah, we do get to do that in this. Thanks, good question. Good questions.
Other questions or comments on the furniture? And again, the plan is to take action on this in July.
Yes.
Okay, after you've had a chance to review. Yeah, other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Next, we move on to district progress goals. So Amy Taylor. Here.
Hello, so this report is a result of a legislative expectation around COVID-19. So you've seen this report from me a couple times last year, once in February this year, and then this is the final report this year, and hopefully the final report that needs to be made in this regard. I think the two highlights that I would just present this evening is this is hot off the presses, so our administrative team has not had an opportunity to dig into this. We'll be doing that in the coming months, as well as utilizing this type of data within our district continuous improvement process. So I guess that leads into the second kind of highlight that I'd like to share this evening is that although this particular report is related to COVID specifically, I would just highlight that as a district, we have always done benchmark assessments and utilized that data to adjust instruction or provide intervention, and that won't change. That is part of our multi-tiered systems of support, which you all know is also going to be even more robust moving forward. So we are going to continue all of those processes. So although the COVID report hopefully will go away, certainly our practices around reviewing data and adjusting instruction and meeting students' needs with intervention will not. That will continue.
Okay. I have a motion, please, that the board approve the district progress goals as reviewed by Amy Taylor. Motion by Dawn Seaton. Support by Chad Tuttle. Questions or comments for Amy?
And thank you for clarifying that not everybody has seen this yet. But maybe you can go into a little detail when you say this was part of the COVID requirements. And looking at the data briefly myself, I think part of the takeaway seems to be that clearly the last couple of years has had somewhat of an impact. But I also know that there were some months or years where we weren't able to even collect data. Can you talk about that a little bit in general terms?
Sure, I'll do my best and then jump in with further questions if I don't hit what you're looking for. So overall, I would say because of COVID, the tests that were put on hold, if you will, or taken off the table as far as a requirement were the state assessments, which are the MSTAT, PSAT, SAT, those requirements. The benchmark assessments that you have in front of you are administered first grade through 8th grade, and they are measuring end of year standards, and we benchmark test 3 times a year, first grade through 8th grade, and then along with that goes our system of supports and data dialogues to dig in, look at overall grade level data, class data, as well as then drilling down to individual data to provide interventions if needed or extensions where needed as well. So as far as the data that we've always gathered, we've always gathered the benchmark assessment data, with the exception, I suppose, of when we closed down in the spring of 2020, when we weren't able to do our spring benchmark assessment. Overall, the piece about this data, which could lead into a complex discussion. But the data that you see here, it's important to note that this is student growth data versus proficiency data. And that's something certainly that we continue to dig into even as an administrative team when we talk about what is the math behind student growth data versus proficiency data. What we see when we're talking about MSTEP data or PSAT data, some of the data that I've reviewed in the past that even in comparable like districts that really shows us at the very top. That's one type of data we can use to determine student progress. And the data that you have in front of you though is student growth data, and that is much more complex to understand and to grasp and explain. It's not really a piece of data that we necessarily want to look at in isolation. I think that anytime we're looking at student data, we'd like there to be multiple data points to really show the true picture of what are our students learning or not learning, and how do we respond accordingly.
So Amy, just so I'm clear, this is we're taking action on the last report of district progress goals that is required for by the state for associated with COVID reporting.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I understood that. But we'll, as you said, we'll be carrying on similar metrics, and but this is required by the state for COVID reporting.
The report in particular, and probably some districts across the state didn't have the level of systems that we do where they were implementing benchmark, and that's probably why the law was put into place.
Okay. Other questions, thoughts, comments? Okay, we do have a motion on the table. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to board policy. Additions and revisions, second reading.
Yes, second reading of board policies 1616, 5511, 6110, 6114, and 6325. The first two are regarding dress code and grooming. The last three are procurement of funds based on a lot of federal dollars that the district received. We reviewed this in a work session a month and a half ago. I did ask for a first reading. I've not received any revision, so it's my recommendation to you to approve these as written.
Okay, can I have a motion that the board approve the second and final reading of the revisions of the board policies listed as presented by Dr. Vanderjack?
So moved.
Motion by Dawn Steeden, support from Steve Bowerman. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, next we move on to human resource items. Amy Taylor. And Armstrong, sorry.
It's all right, I told you. I feel good when you think I'm her. It's good. Okay. I have quite a list tonight. I'm very, very excited to introduce you to many amazing candidates that I'm presenting to the board tonight to hire. We did lose one. Oh, yes, it wasn't the baby, it was the mother. Okay, so first, I am bringing to the board recommendation Hannah Yaskovich. Hannah is actually not here tonight. She is in Philadelphia. She's moving to Byron Center and has 4 years of teaching experience, currently an MTSS specialist. She's going to be an EL teacher in our district upon hire. And she, when I called her and said, hey, you got this job, she was on the streets of Philadelphia, and I'm like, I feel like there's a song there, but anyway. So anyway, so the next one, we have Joy Lopez. And you can stand up if you would like. So Joy has been, she's familiar face in her district. She has done an amazing job as a long-term sub in various capacities. She currently has been at Georgetown. So a 3rd grade position at Georgetown just works awesome. So we're super excited. Next I have Kaylee Hawks. Kaylee Hawks was a student teacher with Jody DeHoop in the EI Littles. This past year, she's a CMU grad, and she is going to be, I'm recommending her as an EI categorical teacher at Riley Middle School. Next is Abby Custer. Abby is currently a resource teacher in Coopersville, and we are really looking forward to stealing her from Coopersville and bringing her to Allward as a resource teacher. She knows staff members there. so it's gonna be good. Next, we have Rachel Van Couverine. Rachel has been teaching first grade for 7+ years in West Ottawa at Lakewood Elementary School. And she is a Hudsonville resident, a Hudsonville parent, an Allward parent, and we are recommending her for first grade at Allward Elementary School. So we're super excited to get her from WOW. Next, we have Sarah Cornelius. Sarah has taught for 6 years. She had 4 years of experience in Texas, as currently in Kentwood, and just did a fantastic job when she was demoing with a 3rd grade class at Park. Really impressed us, and we're excited to see her in 3rd grade at Allward. Next, we have Kristen Borisma. Sorry, my Invisalign helped hurt that. Anyway, she has 13 years of teaching experience in Excel Charter, and we really wanted the right fit for PBIS at Riley Middle School, and we just really are excited about Kristen and her fit there. She has a passion for PBIS, for behavior, and just building systems to help kids be recognized for doing what's right and helping them when they need help. So we're super excited to have her join the Riley team. Next, we have Mackenzie Kane. Mackenzie is a recent GVSU grad. She student taught with us at Baldwin Middle School and also helped coach, I think, 8th grade track at Baldwin, or 7th and 8th grade, am I saying?
8th grade soccer.
Soccer. I said track, but I meant soccer. As soon as I said it and I looked at her, I was like, it was soccer. But anyway, but the fact that she's jumping in already with our students even after school just shows us what type of teacher she's gonna be for her students at the high school in math. Next, we have Katie DeVries, and Katie just left because she had a baby and it was time to go. But Katie is currently a teacher in Spring Lake, and we are really excited to have her in 3rd grade at Park Elementary, and her child will be older, so it will work well. Next, we have Lexi Gross. Lexi is a current GVSU grad. She will also be joining that Park 3rd grade team. I was lucky enough to meet Lexi at the GVSU job fair, and she just snagged me with her personality and everything. So we are excited that she also was a really good teacher when she was demoing, so I'm glad to have her. Next, we have Jonah Zimmerman. Now, Jonah might be a familiar name because he is an HPS grad. He went to Forest Grove and then went all the way through HPS and is currently teaching in Rockford, and we're super excited to have him as a 1st grade teacher at Bauer Elementary. Then we have Taylor Denise, and I think I said that wrong, so I apologize. Taylor emailed, Randy and I like to fight about this, if I found Taylor or he found Taylor. We both like to claim that we did. But she was a teacher in Chicago Public, moved here in about January-ish, started being our building sub, and then took a long-term sub position at Georgetown and just knocked it out of the park. So we're excited for her to do kindergarten at Georgetown. Then we have Daisy Vandevante. And Daisy is a recent Hope grad. She also was in Georgetown doing some student teacher practicum stuff, and just really caught our attention. And then within the interview process, she held it and earned herself a 2nd grade position at Allward. Then we have Stephanie Gamble. Stephanie's unable to join us tonight because she's at her 5th grade celebration. She's a current teacher in Kalamazoo Public. Jenison alum, wants to come back to this area. Really interesting story. This is her 2nd career, was in the business world. Before this, writing how-to books for Gen Techs. And she was like, that's just not as fun as being with kids, and we agreed with her. But she taught a whole year of virtual last year and really learned a lot about instructional tech. So I think her and Craig Steenstra are going to become fast friends. So really excited for Stephanie Gamble, 5th grade at Jamestown Upper Elementary. So make sure she didn't walk in. Katie's back there. Yes, there she is! All right, good, glad we got it. Then we have Brenna Bastian. Brenna is also a Hope grad, and super excited about Brenna because not only does she have her K-5 endorsement, but she also has her special ed endorsement, which always is such a great thing to have in a classroom teacher, just because of ways to help kids in all kinds of different ways. And she is looking to be a 3rd grade teacher at Georgetown. Next we have Alexandra Brunner. Alex has 5 years of resource teaching experience in Grand Rapids Public. She is actually, we talked to her about doing Jamestown Upper and Jamestown Lower split. I think we're going to be able to get her 100% at Jamestown Upper, but neither here nor there. She's going to be a fabulous team for the special ed, fabulous team member for our special education department. So we're super excited to get her. Next we have Erin Standish. Erin has over 17 years of teaching experience. She's coming to us from Eagle Crest in 5th grade. She also has some experience in 6th grade science, which we're excited about, looking forward to the 5-6 building. So she's going to be teaching 5th grade at Bauer Elementary. She is a Hudsonville resident and has kids at the park. And then Jill Lewis. I don't think Jill's here tonight, but Jill is a current para at Park. She has over 19 years of teaching experience, and we are going to recommend her for MTSS building interventionist. She's been an interventionist in her para role at Park, has just been outstanding with working with kids and teachers. So we're very excited to have her in that role at Jamestown Lower Elementary. And then finally, we have a teacher making a transition from classroom teacher, Lisa Sycama. Do I see Lisa? Yeah, I thought you were way back there. Lisa, we would like to recommend to move her from 1st grade into that MTSS building interventionist. Lisa is finishing, and I want to make sure I'm saying this right because, wow, yesterday was her last day of her 34th year of teaching for Hudsonville Public Schools. So, really excited to see her in a new exciting role that helps kids and teachers. So those are my recommendations for hiring tonight.
You've been busy.
We try.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Can I have a motion, please, in a second that the board approve the certified teacher hires as reviewed by Ann Armstrong? Motion by Chad Tuttle. Support by Mark Davis. Questions, comments for our new teaching candidates?
I just want to congratulate you, Ann, on pulling in those long-term subs and others who are in the district and sort of like an interview. It's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? I was going to ask Katie how young that little one is, but she looks like she had to step out again.
I think maybe 3 months, if that.
3 months, if that. Okay, all right. Okay, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. And we welcome all of you, new teachers and transitional teachers. To the district and to the Hudsonville family, and we look forward to you helping us to continue our history, our legacy of excellence within this district. So thank you, welcome, and we look forward to you starting the new school year. And again, thanks Ann and your team for so much work in finding such great staff. We appreciate it. Okay, with that we move on to a couple of two administrative resignations. And Dr. Vanderjagt, you'll take this?
Yep, so we reluctantly would like to recommend that we accept the letters of resignation from Dawn Herma at Park Elementary, as well as a letter of resignation from Rayanne Hart, assistant principal at the high school. Both are amazing administrators who did great things with our kids, with our staff. They both missed and upon approval tonight. I guess I don't know what happens if you don't approve it, but our goal is to try to find 2 people to fill those positions and do that during the summer. That's our recommendation.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second that the board approve the resignations, reluctantly approve the resignations of administrators Dawn Herma and Rayanne Hart as reviewed by motion by Barb Cooper, support by Steve Bauerman. Any questions or comments from the board?
They'll both be missed.
Both be missed, yes they will. Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Those are all of our action items. We move now to discussion items. First up is policy 9130, public complaint.
Yeah, thank you. So we have a policy And we have a guideline 9130, and we have additional documents that we have followed regarding public complaint procedures. And it all references policy 9130, which we did not have. That was not adopted by the board when the policies were originally adopted probably 5 years ago. And so our recommendation is to have discussion on it either tonight. We will also have discussion at our next work session. We will not bring it to the board for first reading until the next board meeting, if that makes sense. So this is one of those that I wanted to bring to our last work session, but our agenda was sole purpose of board self-evaluation. So I just wanted to get it in front of the board. I don't even know if we need to have a lot of discussion tonight or not. We have another work session in time, but I want to make sure we get it in front of the board so there's time to discuss it. Again, this policy is referenced throughout our other policies as please following policy 9130, but policy 9130 did not exist. There are some recommendations to the policy that the board receives that are recommendations that we can follow or not, we can tweak. This is truly a board policy. So this is something that I would encourage, if you have questions tonight, we can discuss them and go from there. You can discuss them if you want to wait until we can discuss it in the work session. Either one works, but this is not asking for approval. As a first reading, again, we have time to do that. But we do believe this policy is important to have in our system because it's referenced. And if we didn't, we'd have to address about 5 or 6 other policies that reference this policy, if that makes sense.
So there's a gap, it fills a gap in policies elsewhere that we have, that we need to fill, okay? Questions, comments, thoughts from the board this evening? Otherwise, we'll be also reviewing this in the work session coming up. Any thoughts or questions tonight? I will share that Dr. Hooper and I had a chance to discuss with Doug some of the aspects of this policy in our regular breakfast meeting yesterday, I think. And there's some items in there relative to the book policy or the book guidelines, and so we had a chance to talk that through a little bit. And as I mentioned in the note I sent out to the board earlier today, again, those will be folded into the discussion that we have in an upcoming work session this summer. So just in full transparency to the board, Barb and I had a chance to talk this through a little bit with Doug. Other questions, comments?
The only comment I would make right now is that it talks about the status being a policy committee review, and technically we don't have a policy committee, so I don't know if that matters or not. And then I do have some other questions or comments, but I think, again, in the work session, maybe I can forward to everyone some of the additional thoughts I had in time for the work session.
That'd be great, okay. Okay, other questions, comments, thoughts? All right, we move on to the next discussion item, Strength and Performance Coordinator and Fitness Center Supervisor job description.
Yeah, so we have a job description. This is a fairly lengthy conversation, but as this campus continues to grow and our facilities continue to evolve, both here and at Baldwin, in the number of programs, you watched our men's volleyball team represented tonight. I know we have other programs that are participating deep into seasons. One of the conversations we've had at length is about the safety of our student athletes and how much work they're putting on their bodies. And do we have people that are trained to support our coaches so that our athletes can maintain the safety whether lifting weights or on the field, and work in concert with our trainers. Our trainers are reactionary to when there are accidents. Can we have somebody that can help support our student athletes so that we don't need our trainers as much, if that makes some sense? Several districts have had strength and conditioning coordinators and supervisors, and we'd like to have that discussion tonight. I would like to bring this to the board as a job description. I do think it is important that the board adopts our job descriptions. We will not hire a position until the job description has been adopted by the board. This is a draft version of what we think the job description should look like. The very first bullet really talks about reducing and preventing injuries and promoting healthy athletes. We think that is the key. This is somebody that would work in concert with our our PE staff and our coaching staff with our new facility here, with our weight room and training facility, as well as over at Baldwin. All programs from our ski team to our wrestlers, to our swimmers, water polo players, which you saw tonight, doing the best we can to make sure that our coaches are trained in doing things that are technically accurate when it comes to lifting and supporting strength, and really try to minimize some of the injuries that we have. So it is not a recommendation tonight, it is a discussion about this job description, which we'd like to have. If there are no questions or you'd like to send feedback about this job description between now, we would like to bring it to the board to adopt the job description at the next board meeting. At that point, we would then determine the next course of action to hire somebody at the right time. Do we want to hire somebody this summer to get them in for next fall? Do we want to wait until the facility's done? There's a lot of those conversations, but we can't do anything until we have a job description. So this is the job description in draft form. Some of the other things that we'll highlight talks about facilitate performance classes. We have strength classes here at the high school to work with our teachers also, so those classes are being conducted properly, to work with all coaches, really maximize our current space and our equipment so that we're doing things the proper way for their student athletes, both in the class and in co-curricular, extracurricular activities.
Questions, thoughts? Yeah.
So just for clarification, then it would not be a certified teaching position. It's not somebody who's going to teach any of the weightlifting classes, but would they be assisting?
Correct. That is correct. They would not be teaching the class. They would be working with the teacher to make sure the teacher is doing things correctly and instructing kids, but the teacher still has the class. They are not certified. They could be, but they're not certified. Okay.
Other questions, thoughts? Again, as I read through it, what struck me is we're of a size as a district, and we have an amount of equipment with such a variety of students being involved with that equipment, both from a class standpoint and a sports standpoint and so forth, that the risk continues to increase that, as Dr. Vanderjack said, we have to react to an injury because a coach or a parent, a volunteer, or somebody who means well but doesn't have the level of training that's really necessary to support, again, the variety of students that are using our equipment either in a class or tied to an athletic activity. So what struck me first and foremost about this is about safety, safety of our students within the district. So my thoughts as I share with the board. Any other thoughts? Okay. We move on to report items, central office updates, and we'll start with Pat.
Thank you. A couple meetings ago, we talked about new auditors, and I brought forth the recommendation to change audit firms. This is on, right? So in the next couple weeks, pretty much the entire central office is going to be doing preliminary audit procedures with our new auditors. They're coming in on the 20th and 22nd of June. But it just as I think about it, a lot of times I overly focus because I work in the business office, but there's so much compliance and so many things that everyone in the district really is involved with, from the HR office. The auditors want to look at our procedures for hiring and retention and teaching certificates. There's a lot that happens in the special ed office with Mandy and Donnie with Medicaid billings, eligibility, proportionate share things. There's so many regulations they have to keep track of for our federal funds on the IDEA special ed side. In the curriculum office, what Amy, now Amy in the new grants position in Jan do, it's a full team effort. And then Robin always gets some wild card questions. Doug and I get grilled for different things. The board is asked different questions by the auditors, but it really does go a long ways beyond it's a total team effort. It's much more than the business office. The business office does have a lot of work to do, but that's a lot of what's going on right now is running toward that goal, along with the software, along just other projects. But that's really what I'd like to bring to the front right now, and thank everyone for their work in helping us stay in compliance.
I just want to give a public shout out to our teachers at this time of year and our administrators who have shown their resiliency and their perseverance over the last couple of years and still stayed centered on why we're all here, and that's for student learning. Right now in the curriculum office, we are busy wrapping up a school year, and then we're full speed ahead with all of what comes for preparing for August. Our teachers will be back and administrators will be back before we know it, and so we are preparing for them, and a lot of the new programming, quite honestly, that we are excited to be able to offer due to COVID relief funds that are going to be providing additional supports for students, teachers, and administrators moving forward.
In a previous work session, our student services coordinator, Melissa Bernard, had shared just some data and information around some of the work we're doing to support students' non-academic needs, and some of that relates to just students that need access to consistent housing and clothing, food, shelter, transportation, dental care, all of the pieces that students would worry about if that wasn't in place. And so one of the ways that we work to support that is in coordination with the Ottawa County Schools Network. And that is a group of people from a variety of social services backgrounds that are building-based supporters to help families get connected with the community resources that are available. And for the past couple of years, we've had one school coordinator at South Elementary, and that's gone really well. And because of the support from the community around Ottawa County Schools Network, that network is able to expand this coming fall, and we'll be able to support or invite 2 new building-based coordinators to Allward and Baldwin. And so this week kicked off the interview process. These are positions that are hired and held by the Ottawa County Schools Network, which works in close collaboration with the Ottawa Area ISD. But because they're building-based and they're here with us 5 days a week all day, we develop pretty close relationships with them and are able to bring questions to them that they can then bring to the network, and then we're able to just see how other schools have navigated similar barriers to accessing those supports for families. We're excited about inviting those 2 new positions into a fold next fall. I think the other update is just that our Diversity and Advocacy Committee will meet again next Tuesday afternoon with the goal of just continuing the process of exploring the issues and identifying just pieces of data that are important to the conversation and what policies should guide the group's thinking and are relevant to that topic. And then we'll be able to provide an update to the board at the work session the following week.
Well, I think that I would be remiss if I didn't start with just, end of the year thank yous to my amazing staff in my office. If you haven't met Ashley Vaughn, Kelly Huerta, or Angie Briggs Johnson, who I work really closely with every day, you should, because they're amazing, and they, everything that you see, and whenever you thank me, really you're thanking them. So I just want to say publicly thank you to them. I also think it's really important to also thank Becky Skipper and Brad Naderveld for all the work that they do to support teachers in their roles with the HEA, as well as being teachers every single day. We've had to navigate a lot over the last 2 years, and I just really thank them for their compassion, their teamwork, and their overall hard work. And at the same time, I'd like to thank Christy Bako and Teresa Renz, who are also the bus driver president and vice president. They have just done some great things this year in support of the drivers.
but also working with Pat and I to ensure that we're trying to get more drivers. So just really want to thank them. One of the roles that I have is I am the human resource. And I think, I've been thinking a lot about that word human, because one of my SOAR goals for our overall district strategic plan is to help with staff wellness and retention. That is something that's really important to me, and I know that it's really important to all of you, because everything is trickled down to our kids, and that's what matters the most. And I think that sometimes we forget the word human. And so I just think that as we thank teachers, and we thank administrators, and we thank board, I think it's also important to remember that that's Ann, and that's Randy, and that's Becky, and that's Doug, and that's Dawn, and that's Barb, because we're humans behind our roles, and we're human. And so I think that that's just something that has really been resonating with me, and the mental and physical wellness of our staff as we continue to work in a world that is difficult, in a world that is wonderful, in a world where we're here for kids. And I just think, so in my role, I'm trying to create ways for staff to de-stress Mondays, where we're sending out reminders of ways to just take a breath when things are getting hard, or when we're building new hires teams, we're not just stacking it with 3 new first-year teachers. We're stacking a team that has teachers that have experience so that we can support each other and people don't burn out. And so I guess I just want to take the chance right now just to remind us all that we're human, and that we have done a really tremendous job this year of creating great experiences for all kids. So that's what I think.
Did we cover everybody? I think we did. Okay, we move on next to Superintendent Report.
It is the time to thank people, right? It's the end of the year. The kids left yesterday pretty excited, waving on buses, driving out honking horns. It was a good school year. A lot has gone on. I do want to thank Ann, Mandy, Amy, and Pat. We work closely together, and there's a lot of challenges, but there's a lot of great work that takes place in our office, and I couldn't have asked for a better team to work with. For our administrators that are here, I see Randy and Ryan and Josh. Thank you for what you do in your buildings, and the rest of our administrators that we said, hey, it's summer, try to catch your breath and see your families a little bit more. For Keith, for being at us board meetings that he didn't know he signed up for when he took this job on a while ago. Keith, we really appreciate your work and all the work that Robin does, keeping things functioning in her office. So thanks to Robin. And I see Stephanie sitting behind her 6 months on the job, and she's learned a lot, and we appreciate her work. So we just have a good team. There's a lot that's happened. People talk about this year. We're going to come back to school in a little over 2 months, technically, on the 22nd of August. And if you remember last year, we were planning to come to school back normal on a Friday, and over the weekend we were notified that everybody's got to wear a mask if you're coming back to school on Monday. And it was one of the most difficult emails I had to send out to our community, and it really started the year off tough. I don't anticipate that this fall, and it's not going to happen, right? So I'm looking forward to starting the school year off on the right foot, and then going from there. We've had amazing things happen for our students this year. We could sit here and count all the things that have been exciting. You saw so many of them, like nearly 50 students here tonight, that were just fired up to be part of the Hudsonville school system. It's exciting. There's a lot of good things, a lot of good people that work countless hours and days to take care of all of our kids, and I just appreciate the work everybody does. And our parents have been a great partner in this. We appreciate the parents' support and what they've done, and they've been awesome. So school's out, which is exciting, but the work hasn't stopped. We're still around doing work most of the summer. I know our team is around all summer, but our administrators, we can give them a little bit of a break. You will see, as you walk around this campus, the construction crew. I see Bryce is sitting out there with OAK. They did not waste any time taking ceiling tiles down and moving things, and and not afraid, don't take this wrong, but they were not afraid to hit gas lines Wednesday after 12:15. They didn't hit them, which is great, but they couldn't do anything until the kids were gone. And so now it's full steam ahead. The parking lots in this campus will be pretty much destroyed in the next few days as they do the work. Georgetown's parking lot's going to be all redone. A lot of that work, it's going to be a heavy lift this summer, and I appreciate the work that Pat does with our construction team and our design team at getting a lot of this work done. So it's going to be a busy, you'll see the ceiling tiles in a minute when we walk down the hallway. They're already pulled out. And then I do want to recognize we've had some success on the court, on the field, in the pool. Our water polo team does go to the state finals this weekend. They are the #1 seed going in, but you still have to play the games. Unfortunately, our girls soccer team did get beat tonight, 1-0. They were playing at Caledonia against Portage Northern. 3 minutes to go, a crazy corner kick, and the ball goes in, and they got beat 1-0. So there's a lot of success, but there's heartbreak, but that's part of life, right? And our girls are resilient. They're good kids. That's certainly exciting. And our softball team still plays this weekend in the regional final. So kids are still enjoying high school as long as possible. If you caught the conversation with Science Olympiad, all of the kids talked about what grades they were in, except the freshman, when she said, I used to be a 9th grader. All the other kids talked about being a junior. She was the one that said, I used to be a freshman. So I thought that was funny. So anyway, it was a great year. Definitely we have room to grow. We have challenges ahead of us. Some we don't know about, some we do. We're going to keep digging in, doing the best we can for all of our kids, knowing that we still have, in my opinion, the best school system in the state of Michigan. And we're going to keep plowing forward and doing great things. So another year, and looking forward to another great one. So that's it.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hanjak. We move on to recognition of visitors and hearing the people present. Robin will call your name. Please come up and at the podium. Limit comments to 3 minutes, please, and address comments to the board. And with that, we'll get our timer going here. In a moment. But Robin, if you want to call the first name.
Sure. Lucy Spinner.
Lucy Spinner. She's here. Who's next, Robin?
Erin Doobie.
Greetings, Mark. Good to see you all again. There have been a lot of thank yous and congratulations as a part of this community and part of the majority of people that are incredibly happy with their schools. I want to extend a thank you to you as well, all the admins, all the teachers, anybody that is coming on. Like today was super exciting to see all of the kids and be able to celebrate those accomplishments. Were awesome. And that is in no small part thanks to you and your team and the people you have surrounded all of our children. So thank you very much. You're doing great work. Please keep it up. Looking forward to continuing to support you guys and all of our amazing work. So thank you, Go Eagles.
Thank you for your comments. Next, Robin.
Jennifer Johnson.
Good evening. I just wanted to talk about some important information I did a little bit of research on about our school district and kind of share it. We are ranked 22nd overall in the state of Michigan for school districts. Our teachers are ranked 20th for the best teachers in Michigan, and our athletes are ranked 9th. Of the 479 2022 graduates that we had walk the stage this year, 63% of them are continuing their education at a 4-year college or university. 13 will be attending a 2-year college, 5 are attending a trade school, and 31% of the class attended Career Line Tech Center, with 53% of that pursuing work in that field. Our district offers a wide range of AP classes to students, which allows them to earn college credits before graduation. We have a well-known and respected special education program that provides opportunities not only for those students needing special services, but to others as well through the LINKS program. There is a new K through 12 tutoring program that was implemented this year, which includes a summer program with options for credit recovery, which I think is very important. The interest and participation in this program was so great, it is already expanding. We have an incredible fine arts program that includes band, orchestra, choir, drama. Each of these programs have numerous offerings for students with differing interests, from marching band to winter guard, which we got to see a couple meetings ago, to plays and musicals. We offer community education opportunities for pretty much anyone with anything. There's so much stuff that is available for people to participate in. They have ways for families to try different activities with their children or to try new activities for themselves. HPS is currently working towards completion of $140 million in bond work, with 5 buildings currently under construction and 2 buildings in the design and planning stages. And they held their first field day in 2 years. I think it was Monday, and it was so much fun watching the kids in the neighborhood dancing around in their orange shirts that said field day, and they were pumping up their arms like you would with semi-truck drivers trying to get people to honk at them as they were going by. It was awesome to see them so excited. So these are just a few of the wonderful things going on in our district. These things are good, they're exciting, they should be celebrated and talked about. They're important, and it is crystal clear that our district is doing an exceptional job in preparing our students for the future. Our teachers, support staff, and administrators are incredible. They should be appreciated, thanked, and supported. They are what make this district special and well respected throughout West Michigan and the entire state. We need to place more focus on these types of things and be excited our students have such a great system to learn in. So thank you, teachers, administrators, and board members for being such a great part of such a great school system.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, we move on to, we have a closed session to go to. We'll do board roundtable now and then go to closed session. So we'll start with Mr. Davis down there, please.
Any chance of more microphones?
There are supply chain issues still.
Okay.
We're supposed to all have them at our station, but
Sweet.
we ordered them 3 months ago.
Yes. Good, thanks.
It keeps working. Just one comment I made. Thank you, Mark, again for your comments regarding possible agenda items for summer work session. I sent a note out to the board. Please share comments, thoughts, critique around that rough proposal or framework I put together. One note, I think we're not for sure yet, but highly unlikely we won't have a work session in July, just because of all the vacations going on and to kind of give everybody a July break. It's really impractical to have one in July. So we'll take those items I have listed in July and fold those into a regular meeting in some way. So just wanted to note that for the board. But again, please offer your comments on that when you get a chance.
We still have a July board meeting, but
Yes.
not a work session.
Right.
We don't get all your smiling.
We have a board meeting, no work session. Yes, thank you.
Just want to say thanks as well to the entire staff and administration, Doug and your team. Thanks to my fellow board members who continue to stretch each one of us, and we're all learning and we never stop learning. We learn from each other, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, so thanks to all of you.
Yeah, just extend the thanks and especially for all of the new teachers who we were able to welcome tonight. Excited, as we said, to see those who we've brought on from student teaching and long-term sub positions, but equally excited to see all of the experience that is brought into the district as well, and those who are coming from other districts, other buildings with so much rich experience, and glad that our kids here in Hudsonville get a benefit from that. And Doug, I can't wait to remind my kids later tonight that it's just over 2 months.
We're gonna wait. Give it a couple weeks. It's only the first day.
Okay, with that, thank you, everybody. With that, we will take a motion and a second to go into closed session, please.
So moved.
Motion by Don Steven, support by Chad Tuttle. We'll do roundtable, Chad.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
And we are in closed session for a bargaining discussion. I would expect it'll last 30 to 45 minutes. You're welcome to stay. All we're going to do afterwards is adjourn. And with that, we will step out and go into closed session. Okay, can I have a motion and second to adjourn, please? Motion by Chad, support by Steve. All in favor of adjournment, please say yes.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.